Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm Joseph Novichkov, Senior Trading Manager with GDM. Today's outlook, we're starting briefly with the Asian markets. They were mostly higher on Friday with Japan extending gains from the previous session. Traders, of course, today will be focused on two-day gathering of G20 finance ministers and, of course, central bankers. In Shanghai, that, of course, kicked on Friday to discuss global economic growth concerns. Chinese markets opened in the positive territory with the Shanghai Composite up about 1.07% early on, before pairing some of these gains to trade about 0.43% higher. In Japan, of course, we're looking at the Nikkei 225 index. It was up about 1.5% in the afternoon trade off its session high. The yen, which of course strengthened against the dollar in recent days, retained below the 113 handle, of course, touching earlier in the session. Shares, of course, gave up some of these gains to pair and fall 112.80. There were, of course, other indications that Japan's outlook could be a bit rocky. Data reported Friday showed that Japan's core consumer price index for January remained a little bit unchanged on the year, in line, of course, with the expectations of the traders, and below the Bank of Japan's inflation target of 2%. Last month, the central bank introduced negative interest rates in a bid to spur economic growth. Moving slightly to European markets, over there, they're opening slightly higher on Friday after a rally on Wall Street overnight, following a rise in oil prices. Surprisingly, the FTSE 100 is about to open 42 points higher. The German DAX is seen somewhere about 80 points up. And of course, the French CAC 40 in France is about to open 32 points higher. The euro on a hand, 0.4% to 1.1066, following a two-week slide from 3.5-month high of 1.1377. But of course, it was still down about 0.6% on the week. In Europe, the inflation remained almost non-existent in January, with consumer price growth a mere 0.3% year-on-year. That was below the earlier estimate of the traders on about 0.4% and well under the European Central Bank's target, close to the 2%. Gold in the commodity sector edged slightly higher on Friday despite a rebound in stocks, underscoring support for the safe haven metal. Of course, the bullish technicals at the moment, the money flows, and of course into exchange traded funds, gold is gaining about 0.2% to 1236.16 ounce in late Asian trade after 0.4% in the previous session. Assets of the SPDR Gold Trust, the top bullion ETF, rose to their highest since March 2015 on Wednesday. Crude oil in the energy sector prices dipped on Friday slightly on reports that meetings by oil producers to freeze output failed to convince traders that enough effort was being made to rein in ballooning global oversupply. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were down 5 cents at $33.02. In the calendar today, it's a very important GDP preliminary report for the US at 13:30, and of course, personal spending data at 15, also for US. That's all the major news for today. See you next time. Bye-bye.